Well, first I want to thank you and congratulate you with your debut VR and in your debut, double debut in Fuck Up Nights. It was really great. Everyone loved your talk, and it was really good. It was very emotional. People really, it created a lot of conversation afterwards. So my question is, how did you feel? I mean, what was it like? What are your impressions about both, the Fuck Up Nights and the VR kind of at the same time, or the connection of the both, would you
It
say?
was amazing, to be honest. I kind of have this image that events are things where you need to be there in person to have an emotional connection or an emotional moment. But yeah, I felt strangely like I actually was there with people. After the event, I felt like I'd actually been to an event. Like I felt like I'd met people, I'd heard people's lives, you'd heard people's stories. And yeah,
Yeah.
I did. I mean, I was surprised in telling the story, and telling my thoughts, that sharing my insights, that I did feel emotion. I felt emotional, and I
Hmm.
felt the audience. I guess the emojis help. When people give hearts and stuff, you can see that people are appreciating what
Yeah.
you're saying. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, it was good. I really enjoyed it. I thought the whole thing. I really enjoyed listening to other people's talks before my talk.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
for some reason, I didn't expect other people to be talking. For some reason, I thought it was just me. But when I got to sit back and just listen to other people's stories, I really enjoyed both the other two guests and the way they explained things. So yeah, all round, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, yeah. Well, the funny thing is that we usually like Fuck Up Nights as a format. They usually, we have like 3 to 4 speakers. But with the VR, last time we had 3 speakers, and we kind of thought it was a little too much. So we decided we'll have 4 speakers, but we'll split them in 2 days because it's kind of hard to stay in VR for a long time. Your batteries run out, it gets hot, it's a little uncomfortable. And even though we did that, then of course we had like 2 speakers and then we had 3 speakers, but we're thinking it'll be done within an hour, then we'll go to networking and stuff like that. But it kept like people wanted to stay, and it just went for almost 2 hours, and then we all went to an after party. So
Mm.
I'm taking this as an indicator of success. It was very interesting.
Yeah,
Another
no one
really.
left. No one left. I
Yeah.
mean, like you say, the power runs out in the headsets and all that.
Hmm.
People found a way to stay.
Hmm.
So that's kind of, as you say, validation that the content and the experience was working for people.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Thanks. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I think I don't know what were the stats, but it was like maybe over 100 people just for that day. But altogether, we had I think even throughout this time, I think we almost had close to like 1,000 joins, 1,000 attendees or attendants. Not it could be like the same person in different places, but
A
yeah,
lot
it
of
was pretty.
people on my social media were posting saying they wanted to join, but didn't
Huh.
understand how to get access. So I think it's
Yeah.
still, I feel like it's not mainstream yet. A lot of
No, it's
people
not.
want to, well,
Yeah.
don't understand it, and they're
Yeah.
not involved in it. But when I posted it on my stories, I just got so many comments from people saying, "How can I join? What do I do?" I felt like I was in the
Mhm.
business of selling Oculus by like sending people the links, so that I should be on commission.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Yeah, or commission from Altspace or something. Even though they did a good job, they could have created a good community, a good place. Yeah, yeah, you're right. It's a little sophisticated, and that's why we usually when we do events, we have this uh, introduction kind of a day, so people who are new to it can kind of learn how to navigate a little bit. But yeah, it takes a little bit of a time. And another really cool thing I wanted to ask you about, just kind of go a little deeper into it. You touched upon fear. How fear is very important. We usually treat fear as a negative thing, but if you look at it as a positive thing, as something um, can create this other kind of give you some kind of superpowers. This was very interesting. And as what would how would you extend that to advice for new, or not just new, maybe even older, entrepreneurs, like how to treat their fear? What are some of the things that they can do when they have to do something, but they do have this fear, which is natural, or could be something that's intuitive or something like that. How would you extend that to an advice managing
I
fear?
think the bottom line is you should feel fear. Fear is something that if you're not feeling it, I would argue that you're not living.
Mhm.
You've got to continually feel an element of fear to kind of push your mind and body and soul to the next level. And so, yeah, I always tell people when they're feeling fear, that's good, but it's also learning to control that fear and leverage it as opposed to let it suppress you.
Mhm.
Don't let the fear control you. Control the fear.
Mhm.
Basically, what I always
Yeah,
try
like
to tell people.
yeah, what is this emotional state when you're trying to control fear? Is it some kind of like you have to become friends with it, you have to kind of enjoy it, you have to like the thrill, or is it something more like mellow and you have to kind of go
It
past it?
depends on
Like
the
what's
fear you're feeling, but and your personality. But I
mm,
think generally, for me anyway, if I feel fear, well, a couple of things. First of all, fear makes me work a little harder. So
mm,
for example, if I'm fearful about going on stage and doing a talk, then I'll prep, and I'll
mm,
prepare and I'll plan. That's good. If you don't feel fear, then you don't prep, and then you're not as good.
yeah,
So it's learning to listen to fear and then almost tap into its intuition. But
mm,
everybody's personality is different, and everyone's elements of fear are different. The level of fear that they have is different. But I personally go after fear. I look for it. I look for ways of like doing things that maybe will give me that sense of pushing myself, that fear sense of you know
mm,
the next level. I'm going to the next level because I pushed through that fear. And we all know it. I mean, we've all had experiences of feeling fear and then doing that thing that made us feel fear. And then at the end of it, having euphoria, like,
mm,
total excitement, satisfaction. You sleep
mm.
better, you feel
Yeah,
like you did something, right? Lived.
a little bit of a sense of freedom, like you're almost got rid of that fear, so it gives you a little bit of a freedom feeling. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's really good. Interesting. Uh, yeah, and we're kind of thinking of doing this interviews in VR, because we had this idea, and you're a pretty successful podcaster. You've been doing this for a while now, right? And you've had some really interesting guests. And what would be an advice to us? Because we've been thinking to do this, and we've been procrastinating like forever, for like over 2 years. And now with this gear, it kind of gives us a chance, right? We can create any kind of an atmosphere. We can have a talk. We can, there's still this a little bit of the human and sense of presence, with the person. Yeah, give us some tips. What would be some good ways to approach it? Because even if I prep, and I do have a little bit of this fear of talking, if I can gab, I'm okay with gabbing and talking, like having a conversation with my person. But when there's just too many people as a presentation, when I have to do a presentation, I start to forget everything. But with the podcast, it's much easier. So what are some of the things you can give us give an advice or
Yeah, I think the key I have found to doing any content, podcast included, is it should be something fun for you.
Mhm,
It shouldn't feel like you've got to work hard to make it happen. And
mhm,
so I personally really enjoy the podcast because I learn from the guests that I have on the show. I've built a lot of businesses, I've done a lot of things, but I'm always amazed how much I don't know. And so,
Mm-hmm.
I enjoy the learning. I'd rather sit and talk to someone who's done something incredible than watch Netflix. So I picked something that, yes, we record it, yes, we put it out there, yes, it's part of our business model, but it's become all of those things because I enjoy doing it. And I think that's the
Mm-hmm.
key. You got to just kind of interview the type of people that you just dream of sitting with and talking to. And then
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I was fine when I'm talking to my guests. I get so excited because I love hearing their stories, how they built these incredible businesses and how they've done these incredible things. And so I just get excited learning their story. And I think I never feel like I've just spent 2 hours doing a podcast. I always feel like, I can't wait to listen to that back and see what I missed, like it's, I think that's a real important part of it. It's like, even if you love model airplanes and, it sounds boring to everybody else, but you then interview the people that have made the most amazing model airplanes. I mean, you can just pick a subject that sounds boring to everybody else and you do it. You will find a fan base and you will enjoy it and it will be successful in its own genre. If you do what you
Yeah.
love, sort of concept. I think that's true
Mm-hmm.
with content. Try to focus on,
Yeah.
interviewing people and doing things that just you would happily do. If there wasn't a camera or it wasn't being recorded, you'd still do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's how it started for us because with the fuck up nights and with some of the other activities, we always generate. There's always this place for interesting conversations, and you have all this interesting conversation here and there, and they were like, oh, this would have been a great content. How come it wasn't recorded? So this is how the whole idea for us started. But yeah, you're right. I mean, loving it and enjoying it is the most important thing because that's also contagious, right? That just makes people
Right.
somehow connect on the deeper, yeah, more like Nate level. Yeah, this is really cool. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't want to keep it too much. This was great. Thank you very much.
Pleasure.
We've
No
been
problem.
we've been
Thanks for
yeah,
having me
yeah.
in your event. It was good fun.
Thanks for coming. You were a trooper, just like jumping into the into the VR and the fuck up nights. It was awesome, man. It was nice. We kind of feel like support, so we really appreciate that. Appreciate your
Of course.
enthusiasm and your readiness, the way you handled the whole thing. So yeah, it was
Yeah,
great.
no, well,
Yeah,
if you do any other events or you want me to support in any way, just give me a shout.
yeah,